Hey everybody, welcome to Mixing Music Analog and mixingmusicanalog.com, and here on my YouTube channel. And today I'm going to do a little bit of a drum mixing demonstration for you guys. You guys have been so patient watching all the setup videos. You all want to know how the board sounds. Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to mix a little bit of drums. I'm going to show you my workflow, show you kind of my phase one, if you will, of how I'm thinking about working between the DAW and the console, and we're going to throw up some sounds. We'll put a couple of pieces of hardware on and you can hear what it sounds like. But before we get to that, if you like what you see in this video and you're not a subscriber yet, please subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I post new content. Okay, and also make sure you leave comments below and let me know if there's any kind of specific demonstrations you want to see. Give me the old thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, and all that stuff. So let's first jump over into the DAW, and let me just show you what we got kind of set up here, and then we will go from there. So let me pull all my faders down here. Okay, so here's our DAW here, and basically I got a whole session in here, and over the next several videos we'll go ahead and we'll mix this thing, but I just want to do drums for the first video that we're doing on this channel. I just want to go ahead and do something pretty simple. So in our DAW here, we have our drum kit down here in brown. So we have our kick in and our kick out, which goes to a group track, which we'll talk about in a second. We have a snare track, a hi-hat, toms left and right. We have an overhead left and right, and a room left and right. So as you can see, I have my kick tracks here are going to a group track. And the reason for that is because that group track is now being outputted to one single fader on the console. So we have one fade, kicks go to a group or to a bus, and then that bus gets routed to the kick out output, which comes on the board. And then the rest of the drums are pretty straightforward. We have a snare being routed to the snare outputs coming on the board, hats, toms. We have two toms that we're using on the board, and then we have two overheads left and right and two rooms left and right. So now in the DAW, what I've done before I would bring anything out to the board and actually start doing anything with the on-board EQ is first thing I want to do is check phase. So I'm using Auto Align here, which I've already done off camera, to go ahead and to do any phase correction that we needed to do with these drums. If you guys want to see a full tutorial on how to use Auto Align and check for phase, you can leave comments below and I'll do that for you. Just let me know if you want to see that kind of a plug-in demo. So let me just play back for you quickly what Auto Align is kind of doing here to the overall sound. I'm just going to just push up the faders a little bit here. There's no blend on this yet, obviously. Let me just push up these faders. Let's play back this, and let me turn off all of the Auto Align plugins here so you can hear what it kind of does. So here is what we have so far, which is throwing up the faders. Okay, so Auto Align is bringing in a real fatness to the kick into the snare. That's what it's going to do. It was a little bit out of phase. We did that, so that's done. And also you can see too that all of our faders here are at unity. Okay, everything is at unity across the board. The only thing that would not be at unity gain is our two kick tracks. We do a little bit of a blend of the kick in and the kick out coming to the group track, and the group track is at unity. And then you do all the mixing, obviously, on the console. So let me come over here now. So Auto Align is done. So if I bring down all of our faders here, the next thing that I'm doing in the box is I'm using for compression, because there is no compression on the origin, we're just using the EQs, and then a drum bus compressor, which in our case is the Wes Audio NG bus compressor. We'll talk about that in a bit. We're going to do compression in the box because there's no dynamics on this board. So I'm using here, for example, on our group track for our kicks, I'm using the Plug-in Alliance E-Series 4000 just to kind of keep it all SSL, but you can use anything. And what I really like about this plugin is, well, all plugins, is I've mapped the controls for the compressor to our UF8 here, which again, I'll do a full video on that as well if you guys want to see that at one point, and how you can map all the controls so I can actually tweak the controls right from here. So basically I'm only using this for compression. That's it. You could use it for EQ and for gates and whatnot, but I'm just using it for the compressor. I'm going to use the EQ on the board. So if I just start playing back this kick here. And all my transport controls are also here on the UF8. So we have our release here, or first our ratio here. You can see as I'm turning this, we're going to go about a 2-to-1 ratio. We have our release here as well. We're going to do a pretty fast release on drums. Our attack time is going to be slow, but if I press that button in on the encoder here, it will go to a fast attack where we're going to go slow. And then I'm just going to use the threshold to dial into taste to just achieve a couple of dB, maybe 3 dB of compression. Most of the compression I do on individual tracks, for the most part, is really what I call controlled compression, just a light amount of compression, just to kind of squeeze it a little bit, give it a little bit of the SSL sound, and then we're going to EQ it on the board. So let's do that with the kick drum here. Let's get some compression. And we can level match the plugin as well. So there's our kick group. I've already done kind of a little bit of a blend here between the two, but if we just kind of play that back again. So there is our blend between our kick and kick out coming out to the board. So now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and we'll just kind of EQ this a little bit and we'll see what we got here for on the kick drum. So you can hear what I'm doing there is I'm just going ahead and just taking the insert, the EQ in and out here on the board. So let's play that back. So I'm adding a little bit of top here at around 8K. I'm using about 9 dB at 8K there. I'm taking a little bit out at about 240, taking a couple of dB out at 240, and adding around 55 Hertz, a little bit of bottom end. And again, we don't have the insert of the Aphex 204. We'll talk about that after I do the snare. We'll talk about the Aphex 204, which is on the kick and the snare. So let's go to snare. Again, about 3 dB of compression. I'm doing, slow attack, fast release, 2-to-1 ratio, about 3 dB of compression. That's it. I can open and close the plugins right here on the UF8, which is really cool. I really like that, that you can do that. I'm still trying to learn my muscle memory on how this is, how this particular thing works and what buttons do what. But there we go. So our snare is just coming right out to the snare on the board. So let's give it a little bit of EQ now that we've compressed it a little. There's before and after on the EQ, so there's kind of our kick snare. Now let me show you what the Aphex 204 does here. Let me loop this a little bit so we have just the kick snare kind of happening there. Okay, so now on the Aphex 204, and what I'll do here is I will hit it up with the, I will hit it up here with the iPhone so you can kind of see what's going on here with the Aphex 204. So here is the Aphex 204 right here. This is the Aphex 204 with the big bottom. This is on kick and snare. So we got channel 1 and you got channel 2. We have a drive unit, a tune, which is really frequency, and then a mix, how much of it that you want. So basically, this is the kick is on channel 1. You have the big bottom, and then on the exciter, on the top end, you have a tune, again, frequency, third and second order harmonics, and how much of the mix you want as well. And then you can take it in and out here, or you could take it in and out on the board on the insert switch is what I did. So the channel 1 is the kick, channel 2 is the snare. There's no numbering or numbers to know what frequency or anything like that. You just kind of use your ears. So what I'm going to do here is, let me put that down, and if I play this back for you, we'll start with just the kick so you can hear it. I'll solo that up. So you can hear it kind of just get a little bit fatter on the bottom end. So what I'm doing is I'm inserting it here with the insert button, and over on the unit I'm just turning the drive or the tune button or knob just to get the frequency that I want. I don't even know what the frequency value is. It almost doesn't matter. I'm just using my ears, so it just adds a little bit of bottom. And I'm not mixing in very much, just a little bit. Now on the other side, channel 2 of the Aphex 204 is the snare. So let's play that. So you can hear that the big bottom end of the Aphex really brings in the nice weight of the snare. Sounds killer on snare. So that's the effect of the Aphex 204. I'll take it both in and out at the same time, both on kick and snare. Now let's work on hi-hats and the toms. Okay, so on the hi-hats there, again, just bringing in a little bit of top ends, right around 8K, just a little bit, 3 dB, pulling out a little bit of the mid-range there as well to get rid of some of the woofiness and just blending it into taste, panning it a little bit over to the right. So a little high pass on tom 1, adding a little bit of bottom, probably around 80 hertz or so. We're adding a little bit of bottom end there as well. We're adding a little bit of attack at about 2.5K, and then around 7K just on the top end just to bring some of the stick attack up. Let's do tom 2. Okay, so there's the 2 tom tracks. So again, same kind of thing. A little bit of bottom end at around 90 hertz. Get a little bit of low end on the floor. Toms is panned a little bit over to the left. Audience perspective is typically how I like to pan drums. We're taking out some mid-range at around 450 or so, a little bit of woofiness. And again, just a little bit at around, around 3K or so, just a crack on the top end to give it a little bit more stick attack. And now I'll move to the overhead. Okay, so a little bit on the overheads here, adding a little bit of 100 to bring in some bottom end, taking out the woofiness around that 400 or 500 range, and then adding a little top end at around 5K, just a smidgen, just to bring a little bit more of the crack of the snare. So the one thing about the EQ and working on a console like this, unlike a plugin, is that I don't really know. I mean, I kind of know where the position of the frequency knob is. I kind of got them somewhat memorized, but I don't know exactly what frequencies they are. I'm just turning it until it sounds good in my head, and that's how we all should be doing it, right? Now again, on the plugins, as you've seen, I'm just doing compression, about 3 dB, just kind of dialing in the threshold. The attack, the release, and the ratio are exactly the same on all the drums because I like the compression to be uniform on all the in particular drum elements because I'm looking at a drum kit, not a drum, kick drum, snare drum, toms, those kinds of things. So I'm just hitting it about with 3 dB of compression and then hitting it with some EQ. So we're doing a very light amount of compression. Okay, let's blend this in and then we'll take a look at the rooms. Okay, so there's our room. Same kind of thing. I added a little bit of at 100 or so, a little bit about 90 or so. It looks like a little bit of bottom end because I want to hear the entire. I want to hear a little bit of the kick drum in my rooms. A little bit. Took out some of the woofiness at 500 and a tad bit around at about 3 dB. Looks to be around 10, 12K, just to bring a little bit of brightness of the room up. And that's what we got. So we have the compression, we got a basic balance here on the board. Now the last thing we want to do is take a look at the NG bus compressor as well as the master bus compressor here just so you can hear what that sounds like. So on the NG bus compressor, over here in the rack, we're using, again, just a light amount of compression. I'm doing about a 1.5 to 1 or 1.5 to 1 ratio. We're not hitting it very hard. I'll take you over there on the phone, and you right now it's in bypassing. You can hear what it does. So let's go on over there. Okay, so we're hitting about 4 dB of compression or so, 3 dB of compression. using a 2-to-1 ratio, using a little bit of the total harmonic distortion features on the Wes Audio unit, as well as the iron, the transformer circuit as well, to give it a little bit of color. There's no bypass for the insert here on the board on the group channels, which is one thing I don't like about this Origin. I wish you could bypass the group insert. You can't. It's always active unless you bypass it over there. So now we could talk about the bus compressor here on the board. So what I'm basically doing here on the SSL bus compressor is I'm doing a 4-to-1 ratio. I'm doing a 10 millisecond attack and auto release. We're hitting about 4 dB of compression with some makeup gain. So it's just tightening things up a little bit. It's not really that big of a deal here. And now we have the SSL Fusion, which I can take out in and out here with the insert button here. Now on the SSL Fusion, we are using, let's see here, on the Fusion, I'll bring you over here and show you the settings that I'm using. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm just driving it here. I'm not even using the high pass filter because I'm using the high pass filter on the bus compressor. I'm just driving it mildly. You'll see when we play back the audio, it's not very much drive, not very much density, just a little bit of drive. On the shelving EQ, I'm using a little bit, not even 3 dB, about 2 dB on the low end at 50 Hertz, and the same thing, about 2.5 dB at 16K on the high shelf filter to give me a little bit of air. I'm not even using the high frequency compressor on this. I am using the stereo image. I'm using a little bit of width and a little bit of space, and I do have the transformer circuit in. So when we play this back, and then if I were to take it out of the circuit, you'll hear it here. So I'll start with it in and pull it out. So what I like about the Fusion, it's very, very subtle. It gets a little wider, a little bit of top, a little bit of bottom, a little bit of color, a little compression from the saturation circuit, and that's it, not much. Really tightens things up nicely. Now I can take both the SSL bus compressor and the Fusion out, both at the same time. So I'll start with it in and I'll pull it out. So again, just really subtle, very musical, and just kind of tightens and squeezes things and gives it a little bit more energy. So that's how quickly you can kind of mix, drums, get a balance very, very quickly. So we're not doing a whole lot, as I said. Doing a little bit of compression with the SSL bus channel strip in the box, a little bit of auto align to phase correct to kind of get things all corrected, if you will. And then a quick balance here on the board, a little bit of EQ, some high pass filtering, a little bit of Fusion, a little bit of drum bus compressor, and that's kind of what we have. So we'll get one last, and what's really great and what I love about working on a console is if you want to get a quick blend, if you say, oh, I don't like that blend, it's real easy to just do this. And that's it. It's that quick. So that is what we have so far going on here on the drums. Next video we'll go do some bass and some acoustic guitars, and we'll slowly over the next few videos work our way down, and it gives me some time to get familiar and some of the muscle memory on where to reach for everything, but it's very quick, very quick. What you're seeing in this video is really probably only about the third time since I've had this board that I've actually done any of this, because we've been setting up for the last several weeks. So you're kind of seeing me learn it in real time. So I'm fumbling a little bit, and some of the camera work and stuff may need to be a little bit better. I will get better at that, I promise, as we go along. I got to get my iPhone set up on a tripod over there so you can always see the rack and what we're kind of doing there. But that's what the drum sound is so far on the SSL Origin. Thanks so much for joining me. Again, leave comments below. Let me know if there's anything you'd like me to show you specifically so I can add it to the list of things to kind of show you guys. Any comments or advice would be greatly appreciated. And I really do appreciate you watching. And so till next video, I've been Dave with Mixing Music Analog and MixingMusicAnalog.com. Thank you so much for your time and for your patience and for your support. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.